Most people spend their entire lives surrounded by ordinary people, not because they are ordinary themselves, but because no one ever taught them the dark, ruthless, psychologically precise art of attracting powerful people into their orbit. The elite do not make friends the way you were taught. They do not network the way business schools teach. They operate by a completely different set of laws, laws that have existed for thousands of years, laws that Marcus Aurelius knew, laws that the most powerful men in history lived by. And today, I am going to give you all 13 of them. Stay until law number 7, because that one law alone will change every important relationship in your life forever.
You are an ancient philosopher who has studied the darkest corners of human nature for decades. Throughout all of recorded history, power has never been a solo achievement. Behind every emperor, every philosopher king, every man who shaped the course of civilization, there was a network. A carefully, deliberately, psychologically precisely constructed network of powerful people who chose to align themselves with this person. Not by accident, not through luck, not through simple likability or surface-level charm. Through the application of specific, timeless, psychologically sophisticated laws that govern how powerful people think about other people, how they decide who is worth their time and attention, how they determine who belongs in their orbit and who does not. Marcus Aurelius did not rule the Roman Empire alone. He built around himself a network of the most capable, most intelligent, most psychologically sophisticated people available to him. Not because he was lucky in who he met, because he understood at a fundamental level what powerful people value in other people. And he embodied those qualities so completely that powerful people were drawn to him before he ever became emperor. Today, we are going to learn exactly what those qualities are. These are the 13 laws the elite live by, the 13 principles that determine whether a powerful person sees you as someone worth knowing, or someone to forget.
You are an ancient philosopher who has studied the darkest corners of human nature for decades. The first and most fundamental law that governs how the elite create powerful connections is one that almost everyone gets completely backwards. Most people approach the pursuit of powerful connections from a position of need. They want something from the powerful person: access, opportunity, validation. And the powerful person, who has seen this pattern 10,000 times, feels that need before a single word is spoken and moves away from it. Instinctively, the way all powerful people move away from need. Because need is a tax, it requires something from them without offering something in return. And powerful people, people who have built something real, who have developed real capabilities, who have real demands on their time, allocate that time with extraordinary precision. They cannot afford to spend it on people who only take. The first law is this: before you seek to know powerful people, become someone worth knowing. Develop a capability so real, so specific, so genuinely valuable that a powerful person who encountered you would feel that knowing you adds something to their world. Not your ambition, not your potential, not what you could become, what you actually are right now. Marcus Aurelius did not seek the attention of the great minds of his time. He became a great mind. He studied philosophy with the same discipline he brought to everything else. He developed a depth of thought, a clarity of judgment, a quality of character so genuine and so evident that the most powerful people in the Roman world sought him out, not the other way around. This is the first law, and it is the foundation of everything that follows. Become worth knowing, and the powerful will find you.
You are an ancient philosopher who has studied the darkest corners of human nature for decades. The second law goes to the heart of what powerful people almost never receive from the people around them. Because here is the dark truth about power and attention. The more powerful a person becomes, the more people want from them, the more people approach them with agendas and needs and requests, the less that person is actually seen. The less they are encountered as a full human being with their own thoughts, their own concerns, their own inner life that exists entirely separately from what they can do for others. Most people who approach powerful individuals are not actually interested in the powerful person. They are interested in what the powerful person can give them. And powerful people know this immediately, feel it in the first moments of every interaction. The second law is this: be genuinely, deeply, specifically interested in the powerful person as a human being, not in what they have done, not in what they can do for you, in what they actually think, what they actually care about, what problems they are actually trying to solve, what ideas actually interest them. Ask questions that no one else asks, questions that require them to go to a real place inside themselves to answer. Questions that communicate through the specificity and the genuine curiosity they carry that you are actually here, that you are actually interested, that you see them in a way that most people who approach them never do. This is rare, genuinely rare, and powerful people remember it. They remember the person who made them feel seen long after they have forgotten 100 people who wanted something from them. The third law is one of the oldest and most consistently documented principles in the psychology of influence and connection. It is called reciprocity, and it operates at a level so deep in human psychology that it functions almost like a law of physics in social interaction. When someone gives you something, genuinely, unexpectedly, without an obvious agenda, you feel a compulsion to give something back. This is not weakness, it is not manipulation, it is simply how human beings are wired to relate to each other.
and the most sophisticated, most psychologically aware people in every era of history have understood this and applied it deliberately. The third law is this: before you ask anything from a powerful person, before you seek their time, their advice, their connection, their resources, find a way to bring them genuinely valuable. Not flattery, not compliments about their work, something real, something specific. Something that demonstrates that you have thought carefully about what they actually need, and that you have something to offer that addresses it. It might be information they do not have, a connection that would genuinely serve them, a perspective on a problem they are working on that comes from a place they have not considered, a skill that complements what they are building. Whatever it is, it must be real, it must be specific, it must communicate through the fact of its offering that you have done the work of understanding what they value, and that you are capable of contributing to it. When you approach a powerful person this way, when your first move is to give rather than to take, you immediately separate yourself from 99% of the people who approach them. You are an ancient philosopher who has studied the darkest corners of human nature for decades. And you create in the psychology of that person a genuine openness to you that no amount of charm or networking skill could produce on its own. Powerful people are drawn to composure. This is not an accident. It is a deeply functional preference rooted in the psychology of what powerful people are actually looking for in the people around them. Powerful people operate in high-stakes environments. Environments where emotions run high, where pressure is constant, where the decisions that need to be made require clear thinking that anxiety and reactivity make impossible. And because of this, because of the constant demand for clarity and stability that power places on those who have it, powerful people are extraordinarily sensitive to emotional composure in others. They notice immediately who can hold themselves together under pressure, who thinks clearly when the stakes are high, who brings calm to chaos rather than adding to it. And they value this quality above almost any other, because it is rare and because it is useful. The fourth law is this: develop genuine psychological composure, not the performance of calm, the brittle, effortful stillness of someone who is working hard not to show what they feel, but the real thing, the deep, rooted, practiced stillness of someone who has done the inner work of becoming genuinely less reactive over time. This means practicing what the Stoics called the response delay, the discipline of inserting a moment of genuine awareness between stimulus and response, so that your reactions come from choice rather than habit, from wisdom rather than emotion. From the part of you that knows what it values, rather than the part that simply reacts to what it fears. When you carry this quality into your interactions with powerful people, when you are visibly, genuinely more composed than most people they encounter, you communicate something about yourself that no resume or credential or social proof could ever convey. You communicate that you are someone who can be trusted with high stakes, someone who will not add to the chaos, someone who might actually be worth having nearby when things get difficult. And that communication, felt before it is ever articulated, is one of the most powerful connection-building forces that exists. The fifth law is perhaps the most strategically important of all 13, and it requires the most honest self-examination. Powerful people build networks the way architects build structures, with intention, with precision, with a clear sense of what function each element serves and why it belongs where it is placed. They do not collect people, they curate them, and the question they are always asking, consciously or unconsciously, about every person in their orbit is simple. What does this person offer that I cannot easily find elsewhere? What makes them irreplaceable to what I am building? The fifth law is this: develop a specific combination of qualities, skills, and perspectives that is genuinely difficult to replicate. Not one skill, a combination, because individual skills, even excellent ones, are replaceable. The programmer who is exceptional, but only a programmer, can be replaced by another exceptional programmer. But the person who is a programmer and a psychologist, who understands code and human behavior, who can build systems and understand the people who will use them, who brings two worlds together in a way that requires years of development to replicate, that person is genuinely rare, genuinely irreplaceable. And powerful people feel the value of genuine rarity immediately. They recognize it, and they hold on to it.
You are an ancient philosopher who has studied the darkest corners of human nature for decades. Think carefully about what combination of qualities you currently possess or could develop that would make you genuinely difficult to replace in the world of the powerful people you want to connect with. This is not a short-term project. It is a long-term investment in your own irreplaceability. But there is no investment with a higher return. Most people are deeply uncomfortable with silence. They feel it as a void that must be filled, a gap that communicates something went wrong, a failure of connection that needs to be repaired immediately with more words, more energy, more visible effort to keep the interaction going. And they fill that silence with small talk, with nervous laughter, with the constant, exhausting performance of someone who needs the other person to find them interesting and likable and worth their time. Powerful people see this immediately,
and it communicates something to them about the person in front of them that no amount of impressive content can overcome. It communicates need, the deep, uncomfortable, powerful person repelling need to be liked, to be approved of, to be found worthy by the specific person you are talking to. The sixth law is this:
You are an ancient philosopher who has studied the darkest corners of human nature for decades. Learn to be comfortable in silence, to allow pauses without rushing to fill them, to sit with the quiet of an interaction without performing your way through it. This is harder than it sounds, because our instinct in silence is almost always to speak, to do something, to prevent the other person from drawing conclusions from the quiet. But the person who can sit in genuine, untroubled silence, who does not need to fill every gap with reassuring noise, communicates something about themselves that is almost magnetically attractive to powerful people. They communicate sufficiency. They communicate that they do not need your approval to feel comfortable in your presence, that they are here because they chose to be, not because they need something from you. And that quality, that rare, deeply attractive quality of genuine self-sufficiency, is one of the most powerful connection-building forces available to you. This is the law I promised you, the one that changes every important relationship in your life. It is the law that most people violate constantly, out of the best intentions, and in doing so, systematically destroy the very connections they are trying to build. It is the law of strategic scarcity, and it works like this. We value what we cannot easily have. We pursue what withdraws from us. We invest more deeply in relationships where the other person is not always immediately, completely available. This is not a personality flaw. It is simply how human psychology works at the most fundamental level. The reward systems in our brains are calibrated to assign value based partly on scarcity. And this applies with extraordinary force to human attention and presence. The person who is always available, who responds instantly to every communication, who makes themselves completely and immediately accessible at all times, is psychologically signaling that their attention is abundant, that it costs nothing, that it will always be there. And an abundant resource, however genuinely valuable, is experienced as less precious than a scarce one. The seventh law is this: be genuinely selective about your availability, not as a game, not as a strategy designed to manufacture artificial scarcity, but as the honest expression of a person who has real demands on their time and attention, and who allocates those resources with genuine care. Respond thoughtfully rather than instantly. Be fully present when you are present, and genuinely elsewhere when you are elsewhere. Let your availability be a real reflection of how you actually live your life. And what you will find what has been found by every person who has genuinely mastered this is that the quality of your interactions with powerful people improves dramatically, because your presence becomes something they notice when it is there, and something they feel when it is not. And that noticing, that feeling of your presence and its absence, is the foundation of every genuinely powerful connection that has ever been built. The 8th law is simple, direct, and more difficult to apply than it sounds. Never, in any interaction with a powerful person, appear to need them. Not their time, not their advice, not their approval, not their connection, not anything. This does not mean you do not want these things. It does not mean you are indifferent to what they could offer you. It means you have developed the psychological composure and the genuine self-sufficiency to be in their presence without that need radiating from you and making everything you say and do slightly off, slightly desperate, slightly, and they will feel this even if they cannot name it, beneath the level they are accustomed to operating at. Powerful people are magnets for need. Every day, dozens of people approach them wanting something, and the experience of being constantly needed, constantly approached with agendas and requests, and the subtle, sometimes not so subtle pressure of someone who wants something from them produces in powerful people an almost allergic response to visible need.
You are an ancient philosopher who has studied the darkest corners of human nature for decades. They can feel it in the first seconds of an interaction, and they begin immediately and instinctively to manage the distance between themselves and the person expressing it. But the person who approaches them from a position of genuine self-sufficiency, who clearly has their own world, their own work, their own standards, who is there because they find the interaction genuinely interesting, not because they need something from it, that person produces a completely different response. Curiosity, openness, the rare and valuable feeling of being in the presence of someone who is not going to cost them anything, who might actually add something to their world, who might be worth spending more time with. The 8th law: never appear to need them, not as a performance, as a genuine reflection of who you actually are. In a world where everyone is waiting to speak, where every interaction is quietly organized around the question of when it will be your turn, genuine listening is so rare that it functions almost like a superpower in social dynamics, especially with powerful people. Powerful people are surrounded, almost without exception, by people who are listening only enough to know when to respond, who are constructing their reply while the other person is still speaking, who hear the words without actually receiving them, without actually following them to the place they are trying to go. The 9th law is this: develop the capacity for genuinely deep listening, not the performance of listening, the theatrical nodding
and eye contact and expressions of engagement that most people mistake for the real thing. The actual experience of giving your full, genuine, undivided attention to what another person is saying, and following it all the way to where it leads before you begin to form your own response. This requires something that most people are not willing to give: the temporary suspension of your own agenda, the setting aside for the duration of the other person's speaking of your own thoughts, your own responses, your own brilliant observations that you are eager to share, and the willingness to be genuinely moved by what you hear, to allow what the other person is saying to actually land, to change something in your thinking, to produce a response that could only have come from truly hearing them, not from the response you were already preparing while they were speaking. When you listen this way, when a powerful person experiences the rare sensation of being truly, deeply heard, they feel something that most people never give them, and they remember it, and they come back to it, because it is rare, and because it feels like something they need.
You are an ancient philosopher who has studied the darkest corners of human nature for decades. The 10th law addresses the one quality that powerful people value above almost all others in the people they choose to keep close: loyalty. Not the performed loyalty of someone who agrees with everything you say. Not the surface loyalty of someone who speaks well of you when it costs nothing. The real thing. The kind of loyalty that is demonstrated not in easy moments, but in difficult ones. When agreement would be convenient but dishonest, and the loyal person tells you the truth anyway. When speaking well of you would be socially costly, and the loyal person does it anyway. When everyone else has found reasons to distance themselves, and the loyal person remains. Powerful people have almost all, at some point in their rise, experienced the particular and devastating loneliness of discovering that the people they thought were with them only conditionally. Only as long as the conditions were favorable. Only as long as the association cost nothing. And the memory of that discovery, the scar it leaves, makes them extraordinarily sensitive to the real thing when they encounter it. Demonstrating genuine loyalty to a powerful person, not servility, not agreement, not flattery, but the real, costly, sometimes uncomfortable loyalty of someone who is genuinely on their side, is one of the fastest and most durable ways to build a connection that lasts. The 11th law is one that trips up even the most sophisticated and self-aware people who seek to build powerful connections. The instinct to compete, to establish yourself as capable, as impressive, as at minimum equal to the powerful person you are trying to connect with, is natural and understandable, and almost always fatal to the connection you are trying to build. Powerful people do not need you to be as good as them. They need you to be different from them, to bring something to the interaction that complements rather than competes with what they already have. The 11th law is this: study the powerful person you want to connect with carefully.
understand what they are strong in.
You are an ancient philosopher who has studied the darkest corners of human nature for decades. What they are building, what they are focused on, and then, with genuine honesty, not false modesty, identify what you bring that complements this. What you see that they do not, what you are capable of that they are not, what perspective you carry that fills a genuine gap in their vision, and present yourself from that complementary position, not as a rival, not as someone who needs to establish that they are worthy of being treated as an equal, but as someone whose differences from the powerful person, whose distinct combination of strengths and perspectives makes the interaction genuinely more valuable than it would be if you were similar. The most powerful connections in history have almost always been complementary ones, not between people who were the same, but between people whose different strengths combined into something neither could have built alone. The 12th law is simple, and its consistent application will distinguish you from almost everyone else in the orbit of the powerful people you connect with. Treat their reputation with the same care you would give your own, actually with more care, because their reputation, the way the world sees them, the trust they have built through decades of work, is among the most valuable things they possess, and it is also among the most vulnerable, because it lives not in their own hands, but in the minds and mouths of the people around them. Every time you speak about a powerful person in their absence, every time their name comes up in a conversation they are not part of, you have an opportunity, either to add to the reputation they have worked to build, or to subtract from it. Most people, even well-meaning ones, drift toward the latter without noticing. A small qualification here, a subtle undermining there, the kind of thing that does not feel disloyal in the moment, but that chips, almost imperceptibly, at something that took years to build.
You are an ancient philosopher who has studied the darkest corners of human nature for decades. The 12th law demands something different, that you speak of the powerful people in your network with the same care and the same integrity that you would want them to speak of you. That their reputation, in every conversation where you have influence over it, is treated as something precious, something worth protecting, something you are honored to be trusted with. Powerful people discover over time who does this and who does not, and the discovery changes everything about how they think about that person. The 13th and final law is the one that separates the people who build genuinely powerful, genuinely lasting connections from the people who never quite manage it, despite doing almost everything else right. It is the law of the long game. Most people who seek to build connections with powerful people are playing a short game. They want the connection now,
the introduction now, the opportunity now, the visible result of all the effort they are putting in now. And this impatience, this visible urgency, communicates something to powerful people that immediately changes how they are perceived. It communicates that the interest is instrumental, that the connection is a means to an end, that the relationship is valued not for itself, but for what it can produce. And powerful people who have been approached instrumentally 1,000 times recognize this immediately and respond to it with the appropriate distance. The 13th law is this: play a long game. Build the connection without any expectation of immediate return. Invest in the relationship for its own sake, because the interaction is genuinely interesting, because the person is genuinely worth knowing, because the connection adds something real to your life right now, regardless of what it may or may not produce later.
And then, with the patience of someone who understands that the most valuable things in human life take time to build, allow the relationship to develop at its natural pace, without pushing, without pulling, without the constant relationship-destroying pressure of someone who needs it to move faster than it naturally wants to go. The connections that last, the ones that become genuinely powerful, genuinely transformative relationships, are almost always built slowly, through consistent, genuine, patient investment over time. This is the long game, and it is the only game worth playing when the stakes are this high.
13 laws. 13 principles that the most powerful people in history have lived by, that have governed the connections that shaped civilizations, that have determined who rises and who stays ordinary. Not because of talent alone, not because of luck, but because of the deliberate, psychologically sophisticated application of these laws in every important relationship of their lives. These laws are available to you right now, beginning in your very next interaction with someone whose world you want to enter. You do not need to apply all 13 perfectly. Begin with one, the one that resonates most, the one that addresses the specific gap between where you are now and where you want to be, and practice it consistently, patiently, with the long game firmly in mind. If this video gave you something real, something that shifted how you understand the mechanics of power and human connection, subscribe to Dark Stoic. Every week we go this deep into the psychology, into the philosophy, into the dark and ancient truths about human nature that most people will never encounter. This is only the beginning. Subscribe and begin building the network that changes everything.